Exam, grade 8 term 1 preparation. Okay, I'm going to take you guys through a practice exam of grade 8 term 1. When you are prepping for your term 1 exams, this is the format. This is most likely how it's going to be. It might be different, slightly different depending on what school you go to. Let's start with question 1. Which of the following best describes the commutative property of addition for whole numbers? So the key word here is commutative. So commute in English means to travel or to move around. So that means the numbers can swap places in addition and the answer can stay the same. So remember, the commutative property is when the numbers can swap places in addition and the answer can stay the same. Now, which one here represents the commutative property? Let's take a look at number A. A plus B is equal to B plus A. In answer A, the A and B, the position of the A and B is swapped around after this equal to sign. And it is equal to each other for any whole numbers A and B. The correct answer is A. And another easy way to think about it is, if I have 5 sweets and you give me 3, I have 8. But if you give me 3 first and then you give me 5, I still have 8. The order in which you gave me the sweets doesn't change the total amount of sweets. So that is basically the commutative property of addition. So the answer here is A. Now 1.2. Which of the following is a prime factorization of 144? Remember, prime factorization means breaking a number down into only prime numbers multiplied together. So 144 is equal to 12 times 12. 12 is equal to 3 times 4. And so far that would mean that 144 is equal to 3 times 4 times 3 times 4. And the reason is 3 times 4s is because it's 12 times 12 and there's 2 12s over here. So it's 3 times 4 times 3 times 4. But as you can see over here, we can still factorize 4 into 2 times 2. If we factorize it even further, that will make it, so that will make it 144 is equal to 3 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 2 times 2. And the times 2 times 2 is from over here, the 4, because we factorize the 4. And now we have to group the primes. 3 squared times 2 to the power of 4. It's 2 to the power of 4 because there's 4 2's, and 3 to the power of 2 because there's 2 3's. The correct option for 3 to the power of 2 times 2 to the power of 4 is C. Now, 1.3. Which of the following is the additive inverse of 12? And remember, the additive inverse is the number you add to get 0. So it's the opposite sign. I say again, the additive inverse is the number you add to get 0. So it's the opposite sign. What is the opposite of positive 12? The answer is negative 12. So when they ask for additive inverse, just look for the negative. 1.4. To divide a half by 3/4, what should you do? So remember, dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by a reciprocal, and the reciprocal means just flipping the second fraction. And if you remember the mnemonic of KFC, so you keep the first fraction, which is a half, you flip the second fraction, which is 3 over 4, but you must flip it over so it becomes 4 over 3, and the C means you must change the division to multiplication. With that in mind, what is the correct answer over here? To divide a half by 3 over 4, what should you do? Multiply a half by 3 over 4. As you can see over here, 4 over 3 is not 3 over 4. So this answer here didn't take into account the flipping of the second fraction. So number A is not correct. Okay, and before we get to number B, it is not number C and number D. This is add a half and 3 over 4, subtract half from 3 over 4. These are just very wrong. And of course by now you would know B B would be the correct answer, but let's just check it. Multiply a half by the reciprocal of 3 over 4. And this is a half, and the reciprocal of 3 over 4 is 4 over 3. So this answer lines up with this answer. They just put this over here, reciprocal of 3 over 4, to confuse you on what a reciprocal means. So the whole point of this question is to see if you know how to multiply fractions by one another, and if you know what a reciprocal means. So remember, reciprocal of 3 over 4 is 4 over 3. Same like the reciprocal of 8 over 3 would be 3 over 8. That's just an example. 1.5. What is the product of 3.4 times 2.5? So product just means the answer of 3.4 times 2.5. So I'm going to show you a quick trick to do it. You can take 3.4 times it by 2.5. If you have a calculator, you can just punch it in your calculator and get the answer. Like, you don't really want to waste too much time on it. But the easy way would be, you times this by 10. 3.4 times 10 would be 34, and 2.5 times 10 would be 25. And 34 times 25, you can do, if you don't have a calculator, you can do like long multiplication on your own. And that answer would be 850. But don't forget, we times this by 10. So now you must divide this by 10 again. And if you remember from the scientific notation video, this is just 8.5, because you must divide this by 10. Don't forget to divide it by 10 after you multiplied it by 10 over here. And the reason I multiplied it by 10 over here, so you don't really have to do it, but it just makes your multiplication easier. Now, question 2. 2.1. Calculate 520 plus 180 minus 350. This is just a simple calculation. Okay, so 520 plus 180 is equal to 700, and 700 minus 350 is equal to 350. Okay, now next, define the lowest common multiple and highest common factor of 18 and 24. So what you can do prime factorization, or you can list the factors and multiples. This method of listing the factors and multiples can take a long time, and this method only works for smaller numbers. So what I'm going to do prime factorization. Prime factorization of 18 is equal to 2 times 3 squared. And the prime factorization of 24 is equal to 2 to the power 3 times 3. For the HCF, pick the smallest power of each common prime. Okay, I'm going to repeat that again. Pick the smallest power of each common prime for the HCF. So for 18, I'm going to take the one with the smallest power, which is 2 to the power 1. So let's take 2 to the power 1, and we take the HCF of 24, which is 3 to the power 1. And then you multiply the 2 by the 3, which is equal to 2 times 3 is equal to 6. So 6 is your highest common factor. And for LCM, we pick the highest power of each prime, even if it's not common. So remember, for LCM, pick the highest power of each prime, even if it's not common. So the highest power of 18 is 3 is to 2, and 24, and the highest power of 24 is 2 is to the power of 3. So we multiply that by each other, and that'd be 8 times 9, and 8 times 9 is equal to 72. So the lowest common factor is equal to 72. We got these numbers through prime factorization. Okay? Okay, 2.3, share 6,496 in the ratio 2 is to 3 is to 9. So what you must first do is you must add the numbers in this ratio. So 2 is to 3 is to 9, we add it all together. So that's 2 plus 3 plus 9. that is equal to 14. So now you take the number 6496 over here, 6496, we divide it by 14, and that would be 464. So the 464 represents one part, and the one part of the ratio 2:3:9. So if you want to find the ratio of 2 over here, we must times this 464 by 2. So 464 times by 2, that is equal to 928. So the 2 over here, let's do this quickly. So the 2 is 928. Now we take the 3 and we times it by 464. That would be 1392. And we take the 9 times by 464. That would be 4176. And we got this number 464 by dividing 6496 by 14, and the 14 we got from adding all the numbers in this ratio together. Okay, and this all should equal to 6496. Question 2.4. A car is bought on hire purchase for $10,000 for a period of 3 years. Okay, $10,000 for a period of 3 years. So you immediately write this down, and you will notice you must take note of the dollar sign over here. For a period of 3 years. The higher purchase price includes a 10% interest. Okay, write that down as well. What is the monthly repayment to be paid for the car in rands? So see here, they're asking for the monthly repayment in rands over here. But this is in dollars. So you mustn't forget, at the end of the calculation, we must convert the dollars into rand. So first, let's calculate the interest. So it's like $10,000 times it by 10%. That's $1,000. So now we must add this $1,000 on top of the original price. So it's $10,000 plus $1,000. That'd be $1,100. Okay, now let's go back to the question. What is the monthly repayment to be paid to the car in rands? So now we want to calculate the monthly repayment of 3 years. How much is 3 years? How much months are there in here? 12. What is 12 times 3? 36. So we must divide this number over here by 36 months, which is 3 years. And that would be 305.56 cents. But remember, this is the monthly repayment in dollars. And they are asking for the monthly repayment to be paid in car in rands. So what you must do is you must multiply this by the exchange rate of 18 rand and 48 cents. So let's take $305.56 and we times that by 18.48. That would make the monthly repayment being 5,646.67 rands. Okay, so let's take you back. What we did over here, we first calculated the interest over here. We calculated the interest and then we added the interest into the original amount, and then we divided the new amount, that's the original amount plus the interest added, by 3 years, and that gave us this number over here. But this is in dollars, so we had to multiply it by 18.48, the current exchange rate for $1, and that gave us the amount over here. Question 3. Calculate minus 6 minus 2 times 4 divided by 2. Okay, I just want to see if you understand BODMAS over here. So you know basic BODMAS. That's like the whole point of this question. So in order to solve question 3.1, you just want to do this part over here first. So it's 2 times 4 divided by 2. So what do we do first? Division. So, okay, so that becomes minus 6 minus 2 times 2. Then we must do the multiplication, so it's minus 6 minus 2 times 2 is equal to 4 minus 4, so it's minus 6 minus 4, and at minus 6 minus 4 is equal to minus 10. Okay, that's your final answer. Very simple. 3.2, simplify minus 12 divided by 3 plus 4 times minus 5. Simplify minus 12 divided by 3 plus 4 times minus 5. This again just part maths. So let's first do the division part over here. Minus 12 divided by 3 is minus 4 plus 4x minus 5. And then next we do multiplication. That's 4 times minus 5 is equal to minus 20. And it's minus 4 minus 20. And it's just minus 24. Next, simplify 3 times negative 4 plus 5. So we must first do the brackets. Over here, you see the brackets? That's 3 times minus 4 plus 5 is equal to 1. So it's just 3 times 1, and 3 times 1 is just equal to 3. Now the next one. This seems complicated, but in reality it's not that complicated. So the numerator is just equal to negative 3. Now let's do the denominator. It's minus 4 plus square root of 121. What is the square root of 121? If you remember your multiplication table, that would be 11. Minus 64 to the cube root is equal to 4. So what's minus 4 plus 11 minus 4? That's equal to 3. And now, let's add this back together. So minus 3 was a numerator and 3 was the denominator. Minus 3 over 3. What is minus 3 over 3? If you can remember from the fraction simplification lesson, this will just come into minus 1 over 1. Okay? Because we are simplifying, and this means the same as this. But you can take this even further, and this 1 over at the bottom over here just falls away. So it will be just negative 1. That is your final answer. This looks complicated, but in reality this just ends up into minus 3, and this just ends up into 3. If you understand this, this is an easy 4 marks. Question 4. Common fractions. Use of calculator is prohibited. But you can still use your calculator for simple calculations. They just want to see your calculations. They want to see your methods. Okay, if you remember from the KFC method, we're going to use a lot of this method. You take 2, you change the division into a multiplication sign. But if you do that, you must swap the sides over. So this is a half over here. We must swap this over, and then it becomes 2 over 1. Make the numerator the denominator and the denominator the numerator. So 2 times 2 over 1. And the reason why we swapped it is because we are changing from division into multiplication. And this just becomes 4. 4.2. Simplify 2 over 3 is to the power of 3. Now if you remember, just like normal numbers, you take 2 is to the power of 3 times it by 2 is to the power of 3, and we times that also by 2 is to the power of 3. And if you multiply the numerator, 2 times 2 times 2, that's equal to 8. Multiply the denominator, 3 times 3 times 3, that's equal to 27. And that's your answer, 8 over 27. It's very simple. Just remember, when a fraction has an exponent, you just multiply by itself, just like normal numbers. And when it's over here, you multiply the numerators by each other, and you multiply the denominators by each other. Very simple. And one more thing, this power applies to the top and bottom because there is a bracket over here. If there wasn't a bracket, this power over here would just apply to the 2 on top. But because there is a bracket and the exponent is outside the bracket, this exponent applies to the 2 and the 3. Okay, 4.3. A jacket originally costs 800 Rand. If the price is increased by 15%, what is the new price of the jacket? So, you can tell by the keyword increase that the price is going to go up. You would take 15% of 800 Rand, so it's like 15% times it by 800, and that would equal to 120. Now, in order to get the new price, we take the original price, we plus this by 120, and that will equal to 920. So that is the new price of the jacket. Another method I'm going to show you is you can just take 800 and it times about 1.15, and that would also equal to 920. Let's do 4.4. Emma has 3.5 meters of fabric. She wants to cut the fabric into pieces that are 1/4 meter long. How many pieces can she cut? So, first things first, let's convert. So an easy way to do it first is to convert this into halves. So 3.5 is equal to 7/2. And 7/2 is equal to 7 halves. So you take 7/2 divided by 1/4. And now from the KFC method, take 7/2, you times it by 4/1, and that would equal to 28/2, and 28/2 as a whole number would just be 14. Therefore, 14 quarters are in a 3.5 meters of fabric. So there's 4 quarters in 1 meter. So it's 4, 8. So it's 4, 8, 12. That's 12. And then a half is 2. That'd be 14. So this answer is correct. Question 5. Decimal fractions. 5.1. Calculate 1,25 times 0.6. Now, an easy way to do this, let's ignore the commas. 125 times 6 is equal to 750. Now what you want to do is you want to count the decimal places from the right. 1.25 has 2 movements of the decimal places and 0.6 has 1. So if we take the movements of the decimal places, which is 2 and 1, we add them together, that'd be 3. Now you take 750, we place a decimal places 3 places from the right. So place a decimal point 3. We take 750 over here, we place decimal points 3 places from the right. This would become 0,75 after moving a decimal point 3 places. And the reason why the answer got smaller is because 0.6 is less than 1. So we are multiplying 1,25 by a number that is less than 1. So we are looking for a fraction of 1,25. If it was more than 1, the number will be bigger. But now that it's less than 1, it gets smaller. Question 5.2. Divide 8,64 by 1.2. Use of calculator is prohibited. 1.2 has 1 decimal place. Multiply both numbers by 10 to make the divisor a whole number. 8.64 times 10 is equal to 86,4, and 1.2 times 10 is equal to 12. Now what you want to do is you want to divide 86,4 by 12. So 12 times 7 is equal to 84. The remainder would be 2.4. You would take 2.4 divided by 12. That is equal to 0,2. And that would mean your total would be 7,2, because we're taking a 7 over here and a 0.2 over here. Now 5.3, a store offers a 15% discount on an item that originally cost 75 Rand and 99 cents. After applying the discount, that is 15% added to the discount price. What's the final price of the jacket after the discount and the VAT? Let's just take into account the discount. So we take 75.99 Rand and we times that 0.85. The 0.85 is 1 minus 0.15. That's how I got to 0.85. I'm using different methods just so I can show you guys new ways of calculating these things. So you can punch this in your calculator and that's what give you. And now we must calculate the VAT. And VAT is value added taxes. Remember, value added taxes. So you are increasing the amount by 15%. So you times this amount by 1.15. You times this amount by 1.15, that's taken from the VAT. And when you times that by 1.15 and you punch that in your calculator, you get 74.28 cents. This is the final amount of the jacket after the discount is being taken into account and the VAT. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It is just a quick run through of the types of questions you will experience in the exam. This question paper was actually taken from the Gauteng 2024, if I'm not mistaken, term 1 paper. So this was an example of a question paper you will receive in term 1. Some schools might have it, but this is like the general guideline of what they want to know from you and the curveballs they might throw at you. I hope you found this useful, and that's the end of the video. Make sure to like and subscribe and see you in the next one.